If you should become prime minister, you would become prime minister because you're a Sunni, because this is still the practice here in this country. Would you then try to abolish this system?
Absolutely.
How?
It's very simple. You see, in Lebanon in 1943, and my uncle was killed by the French. He led the demonstration in 1943 from Maqasid, that was started by the whole thing. Now, today, we were told in 1943 that the composition of Christians versus Muslims was 51 to 49. True or not, I don't know, because I wasn't there. What we have today is a system whereby the Muslims are close to about 2/3 or 70%, and the Christians are 30%. Even though the foreign minister is doing his best to try to bring everybody that has some kind of a roots from all over the world, most of the Christians, to come back, because, as you know, he doesn't target the Muslims. Yet, on the other hand, I have in this country close to 300 Palestinian born in this country, married to Lebanese, with children that were born here, and yet we do not want to recognize them that they are Lebanese. And we have a foreign minister that says any woman is treated equally like men, provided she doesn't marry anybody from the neighboring countries. What does that mean? Anybody who's a Muslim. We thought that the decision in South Africa to abolish apartheid, we're happy for it about 25 years ago. Now we are practicing it in Lebanon and publicly. Now, with all the Christians that will be coming from all over the world, okay, it will not be enough to manage. So unless we recognize ourselves that we are equal citizens in this country, and we need to start moving towards abolishing, the sectarian division, in order to have political parties that they contest like any normal country in the world, we will never be able to move forward. Second, I'm willing to go ahead with the structure that was proposed in the Taif Agreement, which is the Senate. United States, whether you're California with 40 million people, or whether with South Dakota with 3 million people, you have equal rights when it comes to the Senate. Correct? So it means let us establish the Senate, 50 people, 40 people, 20 people, doesn't matter. Because remember, we have 19 different sects. But eventually they are Muslim Christians. So divide them. And I think we need to add one more sect, which is the people that they would like to go for civil marriage. You see, if today you're going to be abolishing the sectarian system today, all the sheikhs, all the priests are going to be against you, because this is the way they live, okay, on this issue. Let's create the 19th sect, which is for people to say, I'm willing to accept the civil court as my reference for marriages. With time, when people start getting more involved, then the whole religious system will collapse. But today, to try to do it, we're going to end up with a fight on your hand. So these 19 different groups, okay, half will be Christians, half will be Muslims, doesn't really matter, whatever the way you want. And I'm going to give them 3 veto rights: naturalization, the right of war and peace, and budgets. Because what happened since 1943 depends on who's the president or who's the prime minister. That will depend which area will get most of the money for development. That's why Akkar has never, ever been developed. When we set up our factory in Akkar in 1994, and the government fought it for 17 years to close it down, we had 1,000 people, and they refused to have any Syrian working for that. But at the end of the day, we need to have equal regional development, and that's where the Senate will have the fact. And then you're giving the Christian, even though they are not anymore 50%, equal rights when it comes to the issues that are concerned to them. This is how we need to move forward. And then you abolish all of this political system, make it on proportional representation, whereby you can contest your slates all over Lebanon. And that's when a political party, when it wins, you can form the government, or by coalition. If we don't do that, we are deferring the problem from one year to another, from one parliament to the other, and this is going to be going downhill very fast.
I wish you all luck.
And the last point.
Yes.
Corruption in this country is in the hands of the parliament. Because if the parliament decides that I want to buy this chair for $20 when I know its value is for 10, I've given basically the blessing to go ahead. And nobody can challenge the government at that point, because the company will get the $20. They will decide how they want to distribute their profits. Okay. But to be able to do that, to stop corruption, besides that you need a group in the parliament to block these things from happening, you need to size down the government. If we do not size down the government, we are going to be allowing the utilities, everything in the hands of the government, to justify the political hiring. And at that point, we're going to be going downhill very fast. We need to size down the government. We need to really privatize. Privatization in Lebanon means I will take the electricity company and will give it to X. I will take the cellular company, give it to Y. This is basically its monopolistic approach. So we need to do that. We have $200 billion in the banks. These people are, yes, they are making 17, 18% interest on their, but they know this cannot be sustained for a long time. But investing into a cellular company or electricity company, this is an ongoing, return on investment. This is how we need to be doing it. Plus, we're going to go today to Paris and ask them we need $16 billion. For what? If I were France and the donors country saying you have $42 billion in foreign currency into your central bank account, and you have $11 billion in gold, why do you need to borrow? Why do you need to add more borrowing? The reason why, they want to do this financial engineering to show that there is additional money, because it's paper profit, in order to justify taking the $10 billion from it. I had a factory. I was on a program whereby they showed me I'm taking a photo of the Prime Minister in that conference with the logo of Future Pipe Industries behind him. And people said, why did you do that? I said, we're going to Paris to bring $16 billion to invest into infrastructure, and the logo of the factory behind them was the factory that was closed by the government was the only pipe company in this country. This is what we're trying to achieve. So we need to be facing the music. Let's not to be ashamed or afraid that we are Lebanese. We are very proud Lebanese, and we want to live together, but the system is failing. If this was a company, you would have shut it down and rebuilt it again. Unfortunately, for the current people living here, fortunately for Lebanon, it has survived for thousands of years, and we go through ups and downs. But I believe this election is going to make a difference in changing the composition of the parliament. Is not going to be in control, but if we, since 1943, we can bring 20 out of the 128, I believe in 4 years' time, we'll be in control of this parliament.